My goal for the day is to set up a brand new university and library for all the villager librarians. I need to get a bunch of trades locked in and ready to go. But to do that, I don't see those kind of things on a homestead. What I want to do is go explore the area around me and find the perfect spot to start a new town for a university. Maybe just a college. We'll call it a college town. I set out into the world on what just happened to be Christmas Eve in real life, and just over a mountain I saw a shipwreck. This was my first shipwreck because I haven't done a lot of exploring off into the ocean, and I was able to find some pretty cool things. I found a buried treasure map, which was very lucky. And then the second chest had all kinds of resources, so I was feeling great about my first little trip and was ready to go find the buried treasure. A drowned with a trident was guarding the treasure, or at least where I thought the buried treasure was, and this was my third drowned with a trident on this little trip. They were definitely trying to hold me back from finding the treasure, but I was able to live through the encounter and went back down to find my goodies. I happily gathered up my belongings and set back off on an adventure because I really did want to find some place to set up a new college town, and it would be really good, ideal, if I could find a place that was close to the homestead and had a village. Settling at a village would keep me from having to move so many villagers and spend as much time breeding them all up. While I was exploring, my F3 menu was up because I wanted to keep track of my coordinates. If you remember from episode 1, I have given myself the rule that I can't explore beyond 1,000 blocks away from spawn. I'm moving along about that 1,000 blocks at the moment and just trying to make sure that I don't overdo my rule. I would have set a border in place, but that requires turning cheats on, and I don't trust myself to have the cheats on and not use them for anything else, so I'm just doing a self-imposed rule. It took a long time, but I did manage to come across a village. There was even a ruined portal right in front of it, so I was able to loot through, and I really love this village. It's right off the water with a beautiful hill next to it, and I think it would make the best fishing village. The problem is, I was looking for a village that was, whether it was on the water or not, was going to be better for a university and would have more land and room to grow because I want to expand on it quite a bit, and was preferably closer to my homestead because I really want to be able to come back here on a regular basis. So this one probably wasn't going to work, and I sort of turned and headed back closer to homestead. As Impulse would say, exploring is fun, but I'd gotten a little carried away and explored out a little too far. On the way back, I did find another village. It also had a ruined portal, and I decided that while it was really great, it was still just too far away. At this point, I had ruled out being able to find a village that was close to my homestead, so I have to decide, do I want to use an existing village that's pretty far away, or do I want to just start from scratch and move the villagers? All of that exploring led me back to a spot right along the ocean that's very near my homestead. There are two problems. One, of course, there's not an existing village, so I'm just going to have to move all the villagers from my homestead over to there, breed them all up, and yada, yada, yada. Obviously, that's going to take forever. The other problem is that there's a pillager tower on the mountain nearby, and I think that's where all my pillager raids have been coming from. But it's far enough away, I think it'll be okay. I'll give them a wall, we'll put some extra golems in here. I think it'll be just fine because the villagers are all going to be locked into spots anyhow. It's a little bit of a risk. The area then, down here where I've picked, is going to have a big university on the top of the hill, and right along the coastline, it's going to be perfect for getting around to other areas. This isn't going to be the capital city, but it should be a really nice sized town. I'm going to focus mostly on the villagers that I want to set up for trades, and in particular, I'm going to set up on my librarians because I need to get a bunch of enchanting books going. My armor, it's diamond, which is good, but it's barely enchanted. The best part about this area is that it's really close to my homestead, but far enough away that it can have its own identity. Before I can build, of course, I have to work on my rule, which is everything must be connected. So I need to put a road in place first. Halfway through building the road, I ran into a wandering trader who had jungle saplings. This was huge. I didn't have any jungle wood yet. I immediately ran back to the homestead, got all the emeralds into my pocket, purchased every single one of the saplings the trader would sell, and then also picked up some tulips and lily pads just for the fun of it. I planted up the saplings so they could grow while I was working and got back to building the path. At this point, I should have started gathering resources for my big project on this episode, but getting the saplings for all of the jungle wood really made me curious if there was just other resources or wood types on the perimeter of my known world. I decided it was time to see was at the very corner of everything. So the first was 1,000 by 1,000 positive, and I put a big old pillar. It turned out this corner was out in the middle of the water, and it was kind of cool because I could look out in the distance from where I built the pillar. There was an acacia biome just outside of the boundaries. Thank goodness I already got the acacia wood from a wandering trader, and as I was traveling along the border at the 1,000 range, I also saw a temple. The Guardian Temple was also just outside of my reach, and it's the only one I've seen so far, so that'll also be something to look forward to when my world expands with the next update. I literally walked the entire 1,000 perimeter, right? I walked the square around spawn at 1,000 and at -1,000, and I looked out to see what was in the distance at every single one of these columns. Unfortunately, I didn't see anything that was super new. Basically, I didn't find any new wood types. I did find some fun, different land things that were interesting, scoped out a few places that might be fun to build in the future. I found an extra ship though. Now, this was huge. It had a single piece of bamboo in it, and that's all you need to get going with bamboo production since I don't have any jungles within my border. I ran straight home after finding the bamboo, planted it down, and got super excited to wait and watch for my bamboo production to grow. Preparations to get this area all set to go, and I was able to get most of my copper to oxidize while I was working, which was a really good use of the time and space. I mined up a ton of resources, and now all I need to do is chop down a bunch of wood and I'll be ready to build the college. With the foundation and basement of the college put in place, the next step was to move the villagers. Yeah, if you know, you know. Unfortunately, I needed a lot of villagers moved, so I thought about maybe doing the rails and putting one on, but then doing all of them. I thought, okay, perhaps if I move the entire group all together, it will be easier. I pulled out all their workstations, their beds, and moved the bell and just started moving it little bits of time, hoping that the entire set of villagers would follow me. Things didn't really go to plan. I mean, just over here, look, I've got one of them standing on top of the roof trying to get to a workstation below, and the other that has fallen over the wall into the farm. Okay, I'm gonna try. We're gonna cross our fingers. I tried to sleep before it got dark, but night one didn't go so well. A trader stopped by in the middle, which was actually really convenient because he had green dye. Now, I have no way to get cactus because there's no desert within the boundaries of my world, so I immediately stopped to buy all the green dye. This was amazing. Back on with the task of trying to move all the villagers, I'd managed to get them up and around the hill, but at this point it had taken 4 days, so this was definitely not going to be my fastest task, and I hatched a second plan. I decided if I could move them via the beds and the workstations just to the hill, from the top of the hill, I could put them all in boats and we could just boat down and sail our way into the foundation of the college. This part of the plan was a little bit easier. All I had to do was stop and take the wood out of the path, which wasn't that big of a deal, and smooth sailing. The next part of my plan was simply to put workstations down so I could break the boats and the villagers would take the job, get their bed, and I'd be able to move them pretty quickly over into the college. But as soon as I broke the boat on the very first villager, immediately he started booking it backwards to where I guess he used to live. Even if I stopped to put workstations down, I couldn't stop him from running, so I started chasing after the villager with a boat so I could at least stop him. I didn't want him to get too far away from where we are after all the work it took to get him here in the first place. Finally, I managed to get him back in a boat, so we took a little trip back closer to the village again, and I broke down and used method number 3 and just started putting minecart rails down so we could get him that last bit of distance into the college foundation. I should probably have just done it this way to start with. I really just thought that it would be easier, but nothing with villagers is ever easy. Once I got all the villagers moved over and settled into their new home in the basement of the foundation of this college, I decided it was time to finish building, and we got back to the college design. The villagers are in the basement and they have been breeding like crazy. I really wanted them in before building the rest of the college building so that they could, make more people and grow up while I was doing all that work. And that worked out great. So the next step is to get them in place. I've got this crazy minecart system that goes all the way through the entire building, but eventually leads them all the way up to the top floor where I have all the librarians all lined up and ready for trades. Next up, of course, is just to roll the villager until I get what I'm looking for, and I'm definitely putting in the time to get what I'm looking for. I wish I could say this process was fast and everything went smoothly, but unfortunately, anytime you're working with villagers, as I am pretty sure I've said before in the video, it's a ton of work and it never does go quite as planned. But eventually, the villagers will give up and give you what you're looking for, even if you do have to break the podium a bazillion times. After about 6 hours of rolling villagers in real life, I needed a break, so I decided to go on a little exploring expedition and look for some new blocks that I would eventually need for the build in the village around this college. I decided to head underground. There was still a lot down there I hadn't explored, caves I wanted to light up, and resources that I needed to dig up. As I was down there, I finally found something new, something I've really been looking for. A dripstone cave. This was amazing. At first it seemed like pretty much the world's smallest dripstone cave, and I was fine to get what I needed from it. However, I opened up a new room next to it with more dripstone, and best part is this entire place was covered in iron. So even though I don't have an iron farm yet, I've got tons of dripstone and pockets full of iron just as a bonus. I also opened up into a large cavern that was just covered in emeralds, which was so cool. Now, obviously, I have emeralds with the villagers, but it was really cool to get the ones straight out of the stone. I think I'm going to keep hold of a lot of these so I can maybe build with this beautiful green pattern somehow. Thanks to all the beautiful rocks, I dubbed this place Emerald Cavern and continued to explore. Emerald Cavern turned out to be the continuation of the lush cave that I found before, so it was nice to find more moss materials. And then there was a big hole in the middle going all the way down to a deep dark that turns out it has an ancient city. I think this is the second ancient city, super near where I decided to set up home. I'm certainly not geared up or brave enough yet for an ancient city, so I filled my pockets all the way to brimming with as much clay as I could carry and made my way back to finish the villager trading because that was definitely the task I needed to finish today. I'm so excited to walk you guys through the completed build for the college. On the inside here, you'll see it opens up into a big, beautiful lobby area. Lots of decorations, ornate rug on the floor, and over here are the villagers that I've been using to get emeralds. Mostly I've been trading sticks and glass and a few other things, but that's the basics. And over here is officially the college mascot. Just ignore him. I have a little bit of storage down here for convenience, and then you'll see the rail system is still in place. It's not because I forgot to clean it up. It's because these villagers all need to be zombified and cured to fix their trades, so I've left the whole entire system in place. The book I pulled from this shelf matches the title, so this whole area is set up so that I can find the books that I want really easily using the new bookshelf. I love this. You see, I've got all the protection, efficiency. I still have a lot of trading to go to get all the books that I want. But when I do, they have a spot in the world, a really official place, so it's easy to know what I have. This side room here with the bed is my temporary workstation. This is where the storage is for the building and for the city that's going to entirely go around this college building. But the real magic happens in the basement. Down here, you'll see a bunch of mushrooms. Just ignore those. I'm letting them grow because I was only able to get one from the wandering trader, and I would like to find several of them. And then on this little side room, this is where the villagers have been breeding. You'll see it's a little bit more empty now as I've been using them up and pushing them off into the building. There's a system in place here for curing them that we'll talk about in a later episode once I have the supplies to do it, but upstairs, that's where I've been spending most of my time. You see, these are the librarians. Each librarian has been carefully rolled and re-rolled and traded with until I have all of the trades that I would really like to have ever in my entire world. Now, there are a few that I don't have, and 2 of the villagers aren't locked in, just in case I get a trident and decide I want to do something fun. But for now, most of what you would ever need is available to me. You'll notice these guys are also in minecart still, so that I can roll them down to the basement and cure them up in the future. It took me the better part of a week to finish the college build and get all the villagers in place. It's a huge project working with villagers, but I am so delighted to be finished. And now I am all armored up. My tools and my armor and everything mostly perfect. Please give the video a like if you think it deserves it. I would certainly appreciate any support on this brand new series as I get it off the ground. With that, I will see you next time and wish you all the best Minecraft Day.